Alright, you guys, welcome back to This Week in Football. Ansu Fati is set to head off to Monaco. Barcelona and Athletic Club continue to spar about Nico Williams, though technically it's a one-sided sparring. Ter Stegen is still insisting on being at the club, and much more coming up in this week's episode of the Just Max Show. But first, if you don't know me before or you've been watching my videos and you haven't subscribed yet, hi guys, I am Just Max, and on this channel I talk about football from LaLiga to the Prem, and definitely a lot about FC Barcelona because I am a culé and it's always going to be Visca Barça on this channel. If you like this kind of content, please like this video, subscribe and share to everybody. I would really appreciate it, as I am just trying to grow this channel from the ground up. That said, let us dive into this topic for today because I have a lot to say. I've missed you guys. I wasn't able to come on here last week because I was indisposed, but today I am good and ready to go, and let's talk about it. Because first on the docket, Ansu Fati has supposedly passed his medicals at Monaco and is all set to join the club. We're hearing that the Here We Go will be coming any day now, most likely next week. I am so happy for Ansu Fati. Yes, I have been one of those people who have said Ansu Fati needs to leave Barcelona, and I know that a lot of people have talked about Ansu Fati particularly from a place of disrespect. Obviously, his last few seasons at Barcelona has not gone the way he would have liked. Definitely did not get enough playing minutes with Barcelona last season, despite insisting on wanting to prove himself under Hansi Flick. It did not work out. His loan spell in the English Premier League did not work out as well. So I'm quite happy that this player is getting another opportunity to really showcase what he's made about, what he can do on the world stage. I remember when Ansu Fati came onto the scene, he was quite sensational. You know, he was brilliant. The way he was able to, score good goals, the way he was able to come up big. Quite frankly, Ansu Fati, in my opinion, is supposed to be Lamine Yamal, except injury came in and stunted his growth. So I'm so happy that he is finally going to a team like he's seen reason, because I've been saying this since the winter transfer window. Like, Ansu Fati, you need to leave Barcelona. If you want to continue to play football at the highest level, you need to go to a team where you can reclaim your fitness, you can reclaim footballing time, and you can go on to have the best career, showcase what you're made of. Because what many people remember you for at the moment is that you're quite injury prone. Whether that is true or not is irrelevant, because that's what we remember. But I think that this chance about going to Monaco, getting some more regular playing time in the Ligue 1, will give him an opportunity to show people that he's more than just a player who's injury prone. He's still got his bag of skills and he still can perform at the highest level. And perhaps it might give the Hansi Flick technical team something to think about in whether or not he should be reincorporated back into the starting lineup once this loan move is over. Now, it might also give Barcelona the opportunity to be able to sell him very well. So who knows? But I know that this is going to be a very good move for Ansu Fati. So I am so happy for you. Congratulations on passing your medicals, and I wish you all the best in Ligue 1. But the big news of this week has been Barcelona versus Athletic Club. Now, before I go on to talk about that, please, have you subscribed yet? Please hit that red subscribe button. Drop your thoughts in the comment section about Ansu Fati's move to AS Monaco. What do you think about it? Do you think it's a good move? Help me out by liking this video, because I am trying to grow this thing like I mentioned. But now on to Barcelona versus Athletic Club. Now, if you know anything about this, it's quite comical in my opinion. Last season, Barcelona chased Nico Williams hard, to come to the club. He did not come to Barcelona because he wasn't sure that the team could register him. He was good in everything. His friends are playing in Barcelona. It was just the ideal setting. He is quite literally a Barca coded player, but the move to bring him to Barcelona did not quite work out last season. And at the time, Barcelona said, if the train from you moves on, we're not going to come back. But Nico Williams did end up going on to sign a contract with Athletic Club, where he did end up getting a bump in his release clause for about 62 million. Now, I'm sure that if you were watching that, with Barcelona saying, oh, if we move on this summer transfer, we're not coming back, you would have thought, okay, maybe that's all done and dusted. But after this season, when we saw how much more intensive games were, and the fact that we only had to rely on Raphinha and essentially that left wing position, it was we're playing Russian roulette, to be fair. Because yes, we're thankful that Raphinha did not sustain any serious injuries this season that kept him out for an extended period of time. But we also knew that, you're looking at what happened with Inter Milan and what happened with the right back position with Balde and of course with Jules Koundé, and seeing how they were not able to participate in pivotal games at pivotal times, knowing that the seasons was getting longer, players are picking up injuries and whatnot. We recognized that we needed to do a squad depth. And of course, there have been all sorts of talk about how Hansi Flick will be able to incorporate Nico Williams again. That whole train came back on. Nico Williams to Barcelona. What would the formation be like? Where would Raphinha play? Because essentially, Raphinha and Nico Williams will share the left wing position if that does come to fruition. I do like me some Raphinha. If you've watched my channel long enough, you know that I do not play about Raphinha. That is my Ballon d'Or. That is my captain. I stand by him every single step of the way. But I am also on board for the Nico Williams train, because I feel like Barcelona needs to improve in squad depth. And like right now, with more games being played in the Champions League, with more international breaks, we are running a risk of having a really, really thin squad and a really, really tired squad. We did see that within that patch in November, December, where a lot of Barcelona players were suffering from fatigue. So having a bigger squad with players who could substitute for each other and still maintain that same level of quality is always ideal in my opinion. So which is kind of why I am all for Nico Williams to Barcelona. I say all of that to say, this week things took a turn for the left. Now hear me out. We're just minding our business. Barcelona, Deco, I talked about, Barcelona's pursuit for Nico Williams, how he's potentially a target. I don't remember the exact word, but something along those lines. And the next thing that we saw was Athletic Club was going to La Liga to talk about Barcelona's interest in Nico Williams. Of course, Nico Williams, again, his release clause is 62 mil, which is technically not a very, very high release clause at this point in the footballing landscape. He's quite an affordable release clause. And if you understand anything about how release clause work, Barcelona only just needs to play for it to be triggered and for Nico Williams, exit from Athletic Club to essentially begin. Which is why I think Athletic Club are ready to be shaken, because they did not think that that release clause will be paid, which I think is kind of premature. To think, especially in this landscape where players are being bought for 150 million. I'm talking about Florian Wirtz to Liverpool. So why would you think a 62 million release clause will not be paid? So right now, the situation is Athletic Club did end up going to La Liga to talk to La Liga about Barcelona's pursuit for Nico Williams, inquiring about the fact that can they actually make this deal happen, wanting to monitor Barcelona's economic moves a little bit more, ensuring that they are within the FFP regulations and able to register Nico Williams. And they certainly know that Barcelona are not within the one-to-one rule, so therefore how could they be able to sign Nico Williams? If you're enjoying my storytelling of this whole situation, please hit that like button, because I need this help. Hit that like button, because I'm giving you all the tea of what's been happening this week. Okay, hit that like button, leave a comment in the comment section before I continue my storytelling of all that's going on between Athletic Club and Barcelona this season. And for good measure, if you like my channel and if you like my vibe, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to see this family grow. All of that to say, Barcelona are just busy minding their business, thinking about whether or not they're going to sign Nico Williams. News is that Barcelona may be looking towards early July to pay that release clause, but then Athletic Club had a meeting with La Liga, which La Liga did explain to them. I think Javier Tebas had an interview yesterday where he talked about Barcelona not within the one-to-one rule, and so Barcelona knows what they need to do to be in the one-to-one rule, and Athletic Club also knows what Barcelona needs to do to be in the one-to-one rule. Now here's my take on the whole entire situation. I find this whole thing very, very comical, to say the least. Now hear me out, because all athletic clubs own in this whole entire situation is selling a player, buying a player. Like, whether a club can register a player after the player has been sold, it's not your business. It's really not. Like, going to LaLiga to inquire about whether or not Barcelona can afford to register Nico Williams is not in Athletic Bilbao's place. Like, Nico Williams has, according to what we've heard, said he doesn't really care about whether or not Barcelona could register him, because that was something that he was interested in last season. This season, he just doesn't care. He's really ready to like put his faith in the club. He really wants to come to the club. Allegedly, he's agreed personal terms with Barcelona. So it's all about Barcelona and Nico Williams sorting out the registration. It is not for Athletic Bilbao to say, oh yeah, you can buy this player, but can you register them? Like, it's not your problem, right? That is my whole stick in this whole thing. Like, why Athletic Club are so gung-ho, like, oh, but you cannot register him. You're not in the one-to-one. It's not your problem. It's a Barcelona problem. If Barcelona buys Nico Williams and cannot afford to register him after paying 60-something million, it's not Athletic Bilbao's problem. So that whole meeting with La Liga this week was quite comical to me. And then putting out a statement about we are taking care of our own, you know, we're looking after, like, it's not your problem. The player has already said, I want to go to this club. And yes, I know they may or may not be able to register me. Like, I don't care. I still want to go. So you going about doing all of this thing, it just seems like you're crying over spilled water. You're crying more than the bereaved. You're being more Catholic than the Pope. Like, it's not your problem. And another thing that kind of made me laugh and chuckle this week was that how can you be upset when you put a release clause for a player for about 62 million? And then a club comes around to say, we want to pay this release clause. And then you're upset that they want to pay that release clause. I think Lamine Yamal's release clause for Barcelona is about 1 billion. And that is coming from a place of lessons learned with Neymar. When Barcelona had Neymar under contract, Paris Saint-Germain came around and paid Neymar's release clause. And at the time, it was worth about 200 and something million. Paris Saint-Germain paid Neymar's release clause. And he effectively stopped being a Barcelona player and ended up being a Paris Saint-Germain player. So lessons learned from that situation. Every Barcelona player, important Barcelona player, has a very, very high release clause, because we do not want clubs just strolling in and saying, oh, we're going to trigger that release clause and this is going to be our player moving forward. So when Athletic Club decided to put Nico Williams release club at 62 million, if I'm remembering correctly, they did so knowing that there was a chance that these release clause would be activated. So being essentially upset that a club comes in to want to take away or activate a clause that you put into said players' release, you know, I'm exasperated. I've just found this whole situation comical. It's a developing situation. If Barcelona does end up paying that release clause in early July, I will be back here to talk about it. But we also need to talk about how the Athletic Bilbao fans have been taking this situation, because, spoiler alert, it has not gone down well. But before I talk about that, let me know what you think about this Athletic Club versus Barcelona versus Nico Williams situation. What do you think about this situation? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a Culé, I'm a Barca fan, so you might say, oh, my analysis of the situation is a bit biased, and I agree with you, because yes, I love my club and I want my club to sign the best players, and I think that Nico Williams in our team will make us even better than what we were this season. But let me know what you thought about this whole situation. If you're not a Barca fan and you've just been a neutral and you're looking at it from a different point of view, I want to see it. But let's talk about Nico Williams' situation with the fans, because since this whole thing blew up, the Athletic Bilbao fans have not taken it well. For them, Nico Williams is a traitor to be thinking about going to Barcelona, which I don't think is fair. Nico Williams could have very well left Athletic Club last season, joined Barcelona, but he stayed, signed a new contract, and ensured that when he eventually leaves Athletic Club, he will be doing so by giving Athletic Club the chance to earn some kind of money from him. At the same time, we could look to the situation with Alexander-Arnold, who left Liverpool for Real Madrid for nothing. Nico Williams could have done that, but no, he ensured that when he is going to be leaving Athletic Club, they will be getting some kind of payment for him. However, all of that to say, the Athletic Club fans have not been happy with it, because there is a mural featuring Athletic Club winning, I think it is the Copa del Rey, and it involves Nico Williams, his brother Iñaki Williams, and one other person. And the fans were being so upset that Nico Williams's face in that mural has been vandalized, or it was vandalized, I should say rather. The club, in part of this whole statement of we're taking care of our own and this is Athletic Club, they ended up, you know, like, we're going to restore the mural. The mural was restored, and then it was again vandalized by the fans, and again it now has been restored. I do think that the mural will end up being vandalized again, regardless of how many times the club restores it, because at the moment the fans are not happy with Nico Williams. I think that relationship between Athletic Club and Nico Williams has essentially broken down, and it just makes sense to me for the player to move on from the club, because if he does end up staying, it's just going to be a very, very toxic atmosphere for him this season, and it will be undoubtedly a very, very hard season for him. But let me know what's your take on this situation. Should Nico Williams stay? If he does end up staying with Athletic Club and not moving to Barcelona, how do you think the fans will react to him during this season? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section, and if you haven't already yet, hit that like button. Let's smash that like button, and of course that subscribe if you like my vibe and the way I tell my stories. Mwah. And before I wrap up all things Nico Williams and Athletic Club and Barcelona, I have to talk about the man who may or may not be impacted by the coming of Nico Williams to the squad, and that is my guy, my captain, Raphinha. And because Raphinha was asked about Nico Williams coming to Barcelona, and he spoke in such a way that I love. You guys know this. I love Raphinha. Raphinha is my guy. Raphinha is my Ballon d'Or. Raphinha is my captain. I have been Raphinha's lone warrior because I just love his mentality. I love the way he carries himself. I love the way he works hard. He's a really, really hard worker. Unlike some people, he just wants to do his job and go home, which I love him for. And he was quoted as saying, as long as he's willing to put in the work, he's really, really welcome. And I love that. Of course, I paraphrase that, but I love that kind of mentality. That is the kind of leadership that we want to see from a club captain. It's not someone who is shying away from competition. It's someone who says, I welcome the competition because this makes my team better. And of course, if you're coming here, do not expect to get anything handed over to you, because you're going to have to work hard for it, because in this team we work hard. And I said that's on period. That's my captain. That is my Ballon d'Or, and definitely that is the leader of the squad, because by comparison, Ter Stegen did not take it very well when the club was in pursuit of Joan García, and we could see all the press conferences that he gave during that period talking about how he knew he was always going to be in Barcelona next season and this and that and the other. If you have not seen my conversation about that, please go back and watch my last video where I did, like, this week in the news of like all the transfer things. I did talk about Ter Stegen's response to Joan García coming to Barcelona, and I am sure that you will find that interesting. Be that as it may, I love Raphinha's attitude. For me, I don't think that Nico Williams coming to Barcelona is a threat to Raphinha. I think that if anything, it means that we have a bigger squad. We can afford to rotate more players in the squad, and of course we're thinking about, you know, moving Raphinha into that 10th position next season. I don't doubt that he can do it, but even if he ends up still staying on the left wing anyway, like, having that ability to be able to rotate players and not dropping that level is why I am all for Nico Williams to Barcelona, and why I am so impressed with my captain for not doing a sissy about it. Last time I spoke about this player, he was still an Espanyol player. But it's since been 2 weeks since I made a video, which I am so sorry about. A lot of things have been happening. I wasn't able to come on here as I usually do every week to talk about, you know, Barcelona, the transfer window, all of that. But again, as I have always said, if you want to keep up with me, my thoughts, my ideas very quickly, you just need to follow my TikTok, because regardless of what is going on, I do like to try and put up, you know, short videos on TikTok talking about everything Barcelona or in the transfer market, things that I find interesting. So if you haven't yet, it is at the Just Max Show on TikTok. Go there, hit that follow button, and, you know, watch all the videos that I did not put out on here. Trust me, I try my best, but like, a lot of things have happened this week or in the last few weeks that I haven't been able to come on here to like make a full-length video. All of that to say, congratulations Joan García on officially signing his contract and becoming a Barcelona player. Let me tell you, the crest of Barcelona looks good on this player. I have noticed that he hasn't stopped smiling since he came to Barcelona, and I am so excited for him. His ceiling is high. He was one of the best goalkeepers goalkeepers in La Liga last season, if not the outright best goalkeeper for La Liga last season. He had very, very good games and high moments for Espanyol against Real Madrid, against Athletic de Madrid. He was quite literally one of the reasons why Espanyol did not get relegated at the end of the season. He pulled out some heroic numbers, but like in the words of Robert Lewandowski, at Barcelona you might not get, peppered with shots every single time, but the demands at Barcelona are higher than they were at Espanyol. So we do expect that when you do face shots, you will save them. That is the demand, because we are at Barcelona, we are competing for every and anything. So it's going to be like competing for the Champions League, you're competing for the La Liga, for the Copa del Rey. Every single title that is on offer, we will expect him to show up and show up big. But I don't doubt it. This player has given a few interviews since coming to Barcelona, eagerness to start working with the team to build his level, and I am so excited to see him come to Barcelona and to see what he can do with the first team. This is a young player too. That's another thing. Like, we have a young core that could be with us for like many years. And when you think about how well we were like a few seasons ago, within that 2020, 2021, where our players were mostly aging or maybe out of form or not really having the right crop of young people to like carry us forward, to see how we've revolutionized the team in such a short period of time, I am so happy and I cannot wait to see what this player can do. All of that to say, we do have the question of Barcelona are overstacked in the goalkeeping position. We still have Iñaki Peña. We still have Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, who is currently the Barcelona #1. We still have Szczesny, who is signed on to Barcelona for an additional season. And now we have Joan García. A club like ours who is struggling for FFP space, who is struggling with wages and all of that. We do need to offload some players in this goalkeeping department just to make room for everybody. Now, I know that Joan García did not leave Espanyol to come to Barcelona to sit the bench. So I expect Joan García to be the first choice goalkeeper, the starting goalkeeper for Barcelona next season. Now, that brings us down to who is leaving Barcelona in that goalkeeping department, because it just seems like overkill to have 4 goalkeepers. So we do know that Iñaki Peña will most likely be leaving Barcelona this season. He's a really good goalkeeper, but he's just not the Barcelona goalkeeper. Like I said, you might not face a lot of shots, but you need to save them when you get them. And while some games this season he did have some solid games, there were some times that I felt like he didn't have the necessary charisma to command that box, to carry out the necessary save, and we did end up conceding some goals that I felt like we could have not considered. So I like the player, but from a Barcelona perspective, this is my team who I am looking to win the Champions League with, a team that I am looking to win the La Liga, the Copa del Rey and the Super Copa. Yeah, I don't think this is it. So I know he's going to be leaving. I expect him to be leaving Barcelona this season. Now that brings us down to Ter Stegen and Szczesny. Now, out of the two, we know that Szczesny just signed on to have an additional year with Barcelona, or at least it's been rumored that he's going to be staying with Barcelona for an additional year. And I know that Szczesny is okay being the backup goalkeeper to whoever is the starting goalkeeper, because he's had an illustrious career. At this time last year, he was retiring, he was on a beach, he was having fun, and then to be able to come back to top flight football and perform for Barcelona the way he was, I'm sure that, like I said in my last video, man was like, listen, I'm ready to go chill, like, you guys are stressing me out. But the question that comes down to Szczesny versus Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Marc-Andre Ter Stegen still believes that he has like a lot of quality to give. He still thinks that he should be Barcelona's starting goalkeeper. He should be the #1, which I would disagree with him on. And his performances in the latter stages of La Liga will also disagree with him on, though I will give him a bit of grace because he was coming back from injury. However, even before then, he was not, having the same level of sharpness. And we have to be cognizant of the fact that Marc-Andre Ter Stegen is one of the highest earners at Barcelona. Yes, he is on that Bartomeu contract, so he's a really high earner. And for a club that is looking to get some more FFP space, especially to fund that Nico Williams operation, it seems out of Szczesny and Ter Stegen. Ter Stegen seems to be the better option to move on from Barcelona this summer. But the player is not willing to do so without kicking and screaming. He believes he should be the number one goalkeeper. I think I saw in the news, and I can't remember very well, but I do think I saw in the news that he has rejected a few offers. He wants to stay at Barcelona, and the only way that he is going to be leaving Barcelona is if Barcelona pay him out his full entire contract, which, again, don't piss me off. Barca, don't do that, because we barely just have money now. We're not going to be dashing people money to leave. We're not doing that. No. So we need to find a situation that resolves itself. The only silver lining here that I see is that Ter Stegen has waited eons. When I tell you, he's waited eons for Manuel Neuer to retire for Germany so that he can be the German starting goalkeeper. This is a World Cup year, so I know that he would want to be with Germany in the World Cup, and Germany will not be inclined to be starting a goalkeeper as their number one who isn't playing in his club. They're just not, right? So if Ter Stegen is really thinking deeply about wanting to be Germany's number one goalkeeper, then he might need to seek playing time elsewhere. But that is the only silver lining I can see at the moment. But again, this transfer window has given us all kinds of ebbs and flows, so we will be seeing what happens, especially when we go into July and much closer to the start of the season. But we do need to offload Ter Stegen as soon as possible. Those wages are enormous. But again, let me know who you think should go. Should it be Szczesny? Should it be Ter Stegen? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you haven't already yet, hit that like button, that subscribe, and of course, share this to anybody you feel like would like my vibe, because of course, I just like to talk about football and I think more people should know about it. Now, talking about players that should be offloaded in Barcelona, there is the conversation about the defensive line. That also is a play area where we might be looking like we are overloaded. So this week I saw some conversations about a defender has to go. And I do know that it is being looked technically as Christensen as the preferred choice for the club to offload him this summer window. Yes, Christensen did not have enough playing time last season because he suffered a bit of injuries here and there. But I would argue that whenever he did end up playing, he was really solid. He was good for Barcelona. Whereas Araujo is a player that has given us a lot of promise, a lot of potential. But after a few years now being at the top flight, I'm starting to get frustrated. I cannot lie about that. I am starting to get frustrated. I was one of the people that was like, yeah, let's not hit on our players. Let us support them. Let us stand by them. But the games against PSG and the games against Inter Milan has changed my mind, only because I'm starting to see Araujo as not a big game player. In my opinion, like once the chips are down, once it's becoming tight, like I don't want to see Araujo in that back line because it's most likely going to collapse. This is just the way I feel. I might be wrong. I might be having recency bias, but this is exactly the way I feel. And I think that PSG game and the Inter Milan game backs my point. But Araujo is still a top-rated defender. And I think for a club like ours who are struggling for FFP space and looking for investment here and there, I wonder, is it the best time to offload Araujo from Barcelona, knowing that we can cash in on this investment? It's not giving us the level of, quality that we were expecting all these years, but it's that we could still make some money off of him. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section, because I am quite frankly looking forward to hearing all of your take. And finally, on the defensive end of Barcelona, I did see some news that, now this is unconfirmed, that Barcelona are looking to bring back João Cancelo back to Barcelona. And I am so happy for João. Reason being because he was that ex-girlfriend that just never moved on. All season long he was like still repping Barca hard. He had his profile picture as Barcelona. Like he was still screaming, I am a Kule. You know, and much recently in his interview in the FIFA Club World Cup, he was like, yeah, I'm always a Barca fan and stuff like that. Like, he has always been a Barca player, and I liked him when he played for Barcelona. He's probably not the best defensive player, but he does give you a lot going forward. So I do think that in Hansi Flick's highline he would thrive. But I'm looking forward to seeing him coming back if this is actually materialized. But of course, he's not going to be the starting left back, definitely not ahead of Balde. No. But again, like I said, we do need a deep squad. The seasons are getting longer, the games are more intense, and with the way Hansi Flick likes to press, we do need players who are going to be able to come in and maintain that high level, that Gengen pressing without us dropping form. So João Cancelo to Barcelona is all yes from me, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section about this one. And finally, before I get out of here, the FIFA Club World Cup. I have been following it. Of course, Barcelona is not playing in it, so I've been following it however I have been. And I have to say, I have been, impressed by the South American teams, because they have just opened my worldview of football to a whole different level, from Botafogo to Flamengo to Boca Juniors. And now I know that Boca Juniors have indeed crashed out of the competition, but they were sensational. The atmosphere, the fans did not come out to play. Botafogo beating PSG and causing a lot of problems for a lot of top European team in the competition. Had my mouth on the floor. I love the way they defended Botafogo, their back line, their deep block, their low block, it went to Harvard. I love the way they worked out for each other. And Flamengo, oh my goodness, what a team. These South Americans did not come to play at all. And at this point, the last time I talked about it in my last video, I asked if we could see a surprise. And honestly, I would not be surprised to see a South American team walk away from this competition the winner. Like, it's giving that kind of atmosphere, but at the same time, the European teams did not come to play. Manchester City are playing serious football again. Somebody said Pep Guardiola's wife is back in his life, and Manchester City, they are serious again, because trust me, they are looking very, very deadly. The season could start now in the Premier League, and I promise you that nobody is ready for what Manchester City is cooking. And that goes the same also for Real Madrid. I have to admit it. Real Madrid under Xabi Alonso, they look nice. They look like they're working hard. They're playing a bit more team football. Certainly they are running a bit more than they were last season, so it's a few things in mind that if you're a Madridista you would be excited about. But also we do have Bayern Munich and PSG, who are still sensational. PSG unfortunately will be playing Inter Miami in the round of 16 against my god Lionel Messi. I don't expect Inter Miami to do anything sensational, though if they do, I will be so surprised. PSG are playing a really good game. They're really looking like a team. I'm so impressed by everything that Luis Enrique has been able to instill in this team. What a quite turnaround that has happened. I'm enjoying it, although I have to talk about Raphinha's comments about the FIFA Club World Cup and how he would not have liked to play a game, give up his vacation for a competition that he would have been forced to. I know that a lot of people have taken that out of context a bit. Now, I am a Raphinha stan. I said this in the earlier parts of this video, and I'll say it again. But I also agree with Raphinha, because I feel like from a European team point of view, this is again another expanded competition. This was not how the Club World Cup was played in the past, but this season we've seen it expanded with more teams and more games. And this is typically around the time where players usually will go on for their holidays, and we know we've started to recognize what rest and relaxation can do for a player to ensure that they're performing at peak performance. So I understand what Raphinha was trying to say in terms of giving up your holiday to play an additional tournament. And then you have to consider the fact that many of these players who are playing these tournaments will still have to come in to play the preseason, except we're saying this is their preseason, then okay, fine, no problem. But I doubt that is the case. And then after that, you still have to then start the season in August. So there's not enough time for rest. And I do suspect that by the time season starts fully, many of the players who are currently in this tournament will be suffering from fatigue, will be suffering from exhaustion, because again they did not have enough time to rest and relax, which is kind of what I feel like Raphinha was trying to say. Maybe he did not word it properly, which has gotten a lot of fans up in arms, talking about, oh, how he's so jealous because Barcelona are not in the competition. However, I do think he has a valid point. I think this is something that FIFA really needs to think about in a different way. Do we have to play this game at the end of the season? Is there a way that we can do it such that we can maximize the season while not encroaching into players' holiday time, recognizing that we do need to give them time for rest and relaxation ahead of the next season? Yeah, that's my thought. But anyway, let me know what you thought about all of these topics in the comment section. I am so excited to be back, to hear from all of you guys. I have missed you, and of course we're going to be coming at you guys with more videos every weekend now that we are in the off season. And then once we are back in the normal regular season, then we can go back to, like, you know, footballing scheduled kind of videos. But for now, it's going to be once a week kind of videos on the weekend. So please come back every weekend to check out these videos, because I put in a lot of love when I create them, and I hope that you enjoy them. But until next time, bye guys.